ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Okay, before we start, any questions or clarifications on anything that you have heard from me during the camp, now, later, whatever?
Right now?
Yeah, any questions, clarifications? Even what you have heard during the camp, if there is something clarification you need, now is the time to ask before we start the text. Or any other questions. So I am assuming there are no questions, clarifications?
No.
Okay.
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Then let us go into the text, go to see the Gita. Okay. Okay. So we stopped in the last class 2 weeks back by Krishna saying that it is not that everybody has to follow a life of sannyasa to get the truth. That throughout history, right from ancient times, people lived a life of karma yoga. Okay, understanding Ishvara as Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanam, as the non-dual, efficient and material cause of the universe, knowing that, and therefore naturally understanding him as Karma Dhyakshaha, the one from whom all the possibility of karmas come, and the Karma Phaladata, the Nimitta, the entity, that because of whom the Karma Phala comes to us, and therefore naturally accepting all Karma Phala as prasada, etc. In this, living in this attitude of Karma Yoga and pursuing the truth along with it, people have gained moksha. They have gained this knowledge. Because what gives moksha or what helps you discover that is the knowledge, self-knowledge. It is not your lifestyle that gives you moksha. Okay. Jnanam eva tu kaivalyam. Knowledge itself is moksha. Okay. Yeah. And if knowledge is moksha, then knowledge itself is moksha. It is not dependent on your lifestyle. Yes, there is a certain advantage in the sannyasa lifestyle for the simple reason that you can devote all the time to this knowledge, and at the same time there is an advantage in the karma yoga lifestyle that the growth you need can happen there. So each person has to decide how and when and what type of a lifestyle you need to follow. Okay. This much we saw elaborately last time. And how the Lord himself is free from all karma, karma phala, all that. Okay. And we also saw before that the theory of an avatara. Okay. When does the avatara come, what exactly, all that also we saw. That really speaking, Dashavatara we'll talk about, okay? Especially When you talk about avatars, you generally mean Vishnu Avatara. And the only thing is, they were all there in Bharatavarsha, in the land of Bharatas, Bharatiya. What about Shiva Avatara, etc.? There have been quite a few, but they are not systematic like how the Dashavataras have been. They have been more like a manifestation and then going off. Manifestation and going off. Yeah. So not really consistently there from birth to death like how all the Vishnu Avatars have been. Yeah. So all this we saw elaborately. Now there's a 2-week gap, that's why I'm bringing all up today. Okay. Therefore he said, Evam nyatva kritam karma purvairapi mumukshuvai kur karma eva tasmatvam purvai purvotaram kritam. Like since people before you have achieved moksha by a life of karma, then so you can also do the same. Okay. Then being on the question of karma, Krishna starts a very, very important topic here. Very important. Okay. In fact, in some ways, I would say this is one of the most complex and difficult topics that is there in the Gita. Kim karma kim akarmeti kavayopi atra mohita tatte karma pravikshyami yajñātva mokshase yashubhat. Kim karmeti, what is karma? Kim akarmeti, what is not karma? Kavayopi atra mohita. Even the kavis here is Kranti Drashti, visionaries. Even the visionaries, Dirgha Drashti, Kranti Drashti, etc., are deluded about disease. Even the so-called intelligent people in the society, okay, with a lot of worldly wisdom, etc., they are also confused about it. Tatte karma pravikshyami, and that karma I'll talk about. I will tell you, he says, yet jnatva, knowing with ashubhat mokshase, you will get freedom from all that is samsara, ashubham, all that you don't want. What you don't want is samsara. So all that you don't want, freedom from that you will gain. Continuing the topic, he says, karmano hi api bodhavyam, bodhavyam cha vikarmana, akarmanasya bodhavyam, gahana karmano gatihi. Karmanaha yapi bodhavyam. You should know what is karma about, what is the thing to be done. Naturally you should know. Okay? Because when we talk about dharma, there is no dharma without karma coming into the picture. Because dharma is not some abstract quality. Simple thing, honesty. Oh, honesty is an abstract quality. We studied it in moral science in school. Yeah, but it has got no meaning unless it's expressed in action, no? In words, in action, in your actions. Do you have honesty in your action? Do you have integrity in your actions? Without that, where is the question of honesty? It just remains an idea. Therefore, karmana api bodhavyam. Bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha. What is not to be done also you should know. Why? How do you avoid if you don't know what is to be avoided? Many parents make this mistake. No, don't talk about all these things to my children. They better not know. Why should they not know? Because then they'll be tempted to do all of it. You give them proper guidance. Whether you tell them or not, they will come to know in the society. They will pick it up from their peers. from media, etc. Okay? So you better talk to them and tell them properly what is Vikarma. And give them the freedom of choice. Trust their intelligence to make the right choices. What is not to be done? That is why when you study the Dharma, the sutra starts with Athato Dharma Jignasa. Now therefore we shall start studying about what is Dharma. Then the sutra is repeated. Athato Adharma Jignasa. We will also study what is Adharma. Why? Because I should better know what exactly the nature of Adharma is, so that I know what to not to do, what to oppose, what not to do. Why? Because it can be always controlled, confused up. And Dharma can appear as Adharma, Adharma can masquerade as Dharma. If you look at all the media, what is happening, a lot of that is happening. Yeah. People are being arrested for a post, for forwarding a post that is insulting to the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. As Adharma, masquerading as though it's Dharma. Therefore, Adharma, what we better clearly know what is rights, what is the responsibilities, what is duties. Everyone needs to know this. Everyone in society needs to know that. Everyone needs to know this. Yeah. What is Dharma? What is Adharma? Contextually, also with respect to the times that you live in. Because Manu and Yajnavalkya are both writing on the Dharma Shastra. They say, Dharma is dependent on the person, the time, the circumstances, the place, the age, avastha, his condition. There's so many factors has to be taken care of. There is universal Dharma, that is true. Then there is what is applicable to me in my life. What is applicable to me in my life. And what is not to be done, etc. All that. Therefore, it's a whole universal thing. And he says, Akarmanaha api bodhavyam. What does it mean to be free from all karmas? Free from the idea of karma itself. What does it mean? Akarmanaha api bodhavyam. Gahana karmano gatihi. Gahana karmano gatihi. The path of karma is very deep, he says. Very deep. That is why, in the Indian context, Dharma was never taught as rules of do's and don'ts. Thou shalt do this, thou shalt not do that. No. Nor did we have a list of things that was haram, that can't be done. Dharma, the universal principles were talked about, and there were lot of case studies given for the people to understand nuances. This is how Dharma was taught, through all the Pauranic stories, etc. Through all the stories, etc. This is how it was taught. Why? Because you need to understand Dharma situationally. It's never black and white. Never black and white. Black and white is easy, but what about the million shades of grey in between? Million shades of grey. That is where the problem comes. The child should obey the parent. Simple Dharma. Rama was praised for that. Rama was praised for that. Great. And why was Prahalada praised? Because he did not obey his father. Look at it. One thing the father asked him to do. That's all. A simple thing. Hiranyakashyape namaha. Say namaha to me. Chant that a few times. That's all. After all, Pitrudevo Bhava, etc. is there. Why? And that's one thing he didn't do. Everything else he was willing to do. So, Prahalada is praised for not obeying his father. Rama is praised for obeying his father. Which means what? You have to understand it contextually. There is no general. There is something called universal dharma. But in a particular situation, how will you interpret it and apply it? Therefore, you will find all our educational literature, starting from our historical literature, Ramayana and Mahabharata, full of examples of dharma. What is to be done? Even Rama, the Maryada Purushottama, had to make some modifications from the literal meaning of the word dharma. He had to. Why? Because that is the right thing to do. If you look at the Mahabharata, in terms of social dharma, huge, get such huge interpretations. And you study that, your understanding of dharma is complete. Our Puranas, even our simple stories like Hitopadesha, etc., all of them are meant to teach dharma. All of them are case studies. In this situation, what happens? Even in the Dharma Shastra, there are case studies. Never black and white. Including in terms of custody of the child, if the parents are separated. There is a very interesting case study mentioned. Here is a woman and a child who has a child. The woman's lover is claiming the child, and the child's biological parent is also claiming the child. Biological father is also claiming the child. Who has the first claim over the child out of these two? The resolution is very simple. He says, when the child is small, the first claimant is the mother. She is the kshetra, the field. The father is only the bija, the seed. Therefore, the field has the first claim. Then who will be the father figure? Wherever the woman is. Wherever the woman is, with whomever the woman is, it could be the biological father, it could be the lover, it could be somebody else altogether. That person will be the father figure for the child. Of course, the biological father, etc., has a claim, not that he doesn't have a claim, but the primary claim. Yeah. And why are you disturbing the child by going here and there? Wherever the mother is, let the child be. Primary, this is that. Of course, all the rights the fathers also have, the child also has from the father, etc. Very simple, very clear cut. But it is not a black and white case. Yeah. No, it's not a black and white case. Yeah. So, like that, you have to understand what universal dharma is and its situational application. Not in terms of black and white. Black and white is easy to understand. Who doesn't understand what is right and what is wrong in terms of black and white? Everyone understands that. Where is the problem? Life is not black and white. That's where the issue is. That's where the issue is. Therefore, one has to understand its situation. Now, this is very different from situational ethics. Situational ethics is propounded by people who don't really have ethics and says whatever is right for the moment you do. That is different from what I am speaking about. I am speaking of understanding the universal so well that you know what to do in a particular situation. That is the picture. That's a whole different thing. Okay, that is in terms of karma and vikarma. Karma, what is to be done, vikarma, what is not to be done. That akarma, what is freedom from karma. Or also, I will tell you, he says, Buddhavyam gahana karmano gati. Okay. I think up to now, after this, everything is clear for people? Or are there any questions here? Any questions, or is it clear?
Yes.
Clear, okay. If it is clear, let us go ahead, okay? And going ahead, he says, he is predominantly, see, what is to be done, not to be done, even though Krishna has mentioned it, he expects people to be competent with it. Why? You have come for moksha, he assumes you have led a life of dharma. He assumes that. You know what dharma is about. Because without knowing dharma, how are you going to go beyond anyatra dharma and anyatra adharma, beyond dharma and adharma to know the truth? How will you know that? Therefore, here mainly he is handling akarma. What is freedom from karma? Okay, he is handling what is freedom from karma. Okay, and that what is freedom from karma is handling here. He is saying, karmani akarmaya pashed akarmani cha karmaya sa buddhiman manisheshu sa yuktaha krishna karma krat. Very beautifully said. Akarmani karmaya pashed. Akarmani, in that which is free from karma. Okay? That which is free from karma. You have to see in karma. Karmani akarmaya pashed. And karmani akarmani cha karmayaha. Now what is this play of words here? What is this play of words? Not all that complicated if you understand. Let us take the general meaning of the word karma and akarma. Generally what you talk about. Karma will be what you do, akarma will be what you don't do. Okay. I am teaching now karma. Somebody else is sitting down there doing nothing. Akarma. This is the general meaning of the word, what we understand. Okay. The general meaning of the term. Using the general meaning, remember, all of Vedanta you have to use commonplace meaning of the words to understand what is beyond the words. Therefore, using commonplace meaning, he says, in akarma, sitting down, akarmani karmaya pashed. Can you see the karma there? And in karmani, in doing action, can you see akarma? That I don't act. Teaching, I don't teach. Hey, you're just now teaching. Of course I'm teaching. Yeah, you're teaching. No, not really. I'm not teaching. Those who see that, he says. Now, how is that possible? Okay. Let us understand. What is it that does karma? What is the entity that is doing karma? You see something, you hear something, you know something, you get some information, data. Based on the data, you will make a conclusion. This is good, bad, ugly, whatever. You see on the TV an advertisement for something. You see an advertisement. Hey, that's good here. I will look good in that. Desire. A conclusion, then a desire is born. In your heart, in your mind. Therefore, manasa sankalpya, having a desire in your mind, and in the buddhi, by the thinking, your reasoning, you decide, yes, this is good to have. Buddhya nischitya, making a decision. Kayena, through the body, karma karomi. I will act to get it, whatever I have to do to get it. Go on Amazon, see that I have enough credit limit in my card, see that I can make a bank transfer, whatever, and you will get it. So action is by what entity? Your buddhi, your emotions, your body. Does the all-pervading consciousness come into the picture? The all-pervading consciousness comes into the picture only by enliving, making your mind and your buddhi and your body conscious, awareful. Other than making your thoughts, your emotions and your body awareful, consciousness is not in the picture. Are you seeing that? This entity, the thinking, feeling, doing entity, is the consciousness manifest in your mind. This entity is called your ahankara, the ego. What is the ego? Your conceptual self. Not you, the self, as all-pervading consciousness, but you taking yourself as an I that is associated with body, mind, etc. You are making a self-judgment upon yourself. Because without that, action is not possible. I am so and so. This body and mind is mine. This is my role in life, this is my place in life, and therefore this is what I can do. Without these self-judgments, you cannot function. Without being aware of what you know, without being aware of what you want, without being aware of the roles that you play, how can you act? Therefore, all actions belong to the level of the ahankara, the ego, the conceptual self. I am deliberately using a non-traditional word as a conceptual self because the word ego, etc. in English has too many connotations. Ahankara in English is simple, in Sanskrit is simple. Aham karoti iti ahankara, the one that does. So the meaning of the word ahankara in Sanskrit is very easy. But in English the word ego has got too many other connotations. For example, one of the greatest ahimsavadis in India, for whom all of us owe a lot in gaining our independence, etc., Mahatma Gandhi. People say noble soul. Did he have an ahankara? If I say Mahatma Gandhi has an ahankara, he'll say, Hindutva character, that's why he's saying it. No, I am not a fanatic. Okay, I am not a fanatic. Yes, I am a Hindu, all right. I am also looked upon as a Hindu religious leader, all right. But I am not restricted to that definition. I am much more than that. I am much more than that. Yeah. I am not restricted to that. I am much more than that. Yeah. I am much more. So, he also had an ahankara. Why? He also had a concept about himself. No? He didn't know the truth, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahman, etc. He didn't know. In fact, he made a statement like that in his book. I read most of his books. Okay? That's why I'm saying all these things. He made it very clearly. Says, if Vivekananda was alive, I would be at his feet learning the whole thing. But right now my role is in fighting for the independence of the country, not as a student of moksha. He makes it very clear in his writings that he is playing this role. He wants moksha, but not now, later, after the country is independent. Probably the task was so huge, he could not pursue this knowledge along with that task. Some tasks are difficult like that. So he could not do that. That's okay. That's okay. But therefore he had an ahankara, all right, an ego. A simple ego I am talking about. I am not making any other ethical, moralistic judgment about him. No, that others can do. Right now, that's not my function. If I am asked to evaluate him, his strengths and weaknesses as a person, then I can talk differently. But that's not my job now. My job is simple ahankara. Aham karoti. Therefore, in the karma that's happening, when I am talking, I am doing something, I am teaching, it's all karma. Yeah. It's all karma. I am handling a difficult pramana. There is karma involved. Akarmaya pashit, to see yourself as the consciousness which is free from all actions. Your buddhi, your mind, your body is doing their function, and you are what? Free from all actions. To see that very, very clearly. To see that very, very clearly as you are doing the action. That's why I said, am I teaching? No, I am not teaching. Who said I am teaching? Of course I am not teaching. No, but you are teaching. Role kar raha hai. It's a role. It's a role. What are you? The one that fills up the role. What are you? The one that fills up the role. Oh, the simple person. The one that fills up the role of the person also. The pure consciousness, that's me. The consciousness is me. Not that. Therefore, the mind can desire, the buddhi can decide, the body can do. You are free from the whole thing. You are what we call akarta abhokta. That we saw in the second chapter. Neither do you do anything, nor do you receive any result. What are you touched by? Nothing. What are you doing? Everything and nothing at the same time. You're teaching and not teaching at the same time. This is what people write, teaching happens, etc. Teaching doesn't happen on its own, okay? You have to think well. You have to see the truth of what you are. You have to see the truth of what your students are. Only then you can teach well. Yeah. That's why I really don't like to teach online. I like to see my students. I like to see that flicker of understanding happening. I like to see their body language. That will tell me a lot. This is a poor substitute for that. But okay, manageable. Why? Because I met most of you all at some time or the other. So I have that in my mind. Of course, few months you would have changed a lot. I'll take that also into account. Okay. Yeah. Most of you have grown in this time. And I don't mean grown only at the level of your belt. Okay. Belt, most people have lost weight, doing everything at home themselves. Yeah. So, akarma. Therefore, in all the actions, To use a sailor's simile, okay, to use a sailor's simile, I will say, you are the calm center in the storm of all activities. You are the eye of the storm. Just a simile, okay? Don't take it literal. Yeah. Because if you ever encountered a cyclone out at sea, it's beautiful. Suddenly you will find the cyclone has hit you. And then if the cyclone catches you, you better move headlong into it. Either get away from it if you can, if you got the time for it. If you don't have the time, get headlong into it. Your chances of saving the ship and yourself are highest there. So you are on headlong. And there is a huge storm. That raging waves you are thrown, the waves are swamping you. All the thing happens. Suddenly you break through and you find the cyclone wall has moved away. You are in the center. All around you will see the storm raging. Yeah, but the center is calm. That's called the eye of the. So similarly, that is what you are. The calm center in the storm of all activities. All activities are happening, body, mind level. It can be any activity. It can be dealing with your beloved. It can be dealing with your turbulent, rebellious kids. In lockdown, big problem. It can be fighting a battle, enjoying a feast. It can be anything. But akarmaya pashe, one who sees, I am akarma. That means what? Your mind and thinking is furious. Fast and furious, okay? Not just furious. You're thinking better be fast, you're responding to your situations. You have to be quick in your thinking, quick in your emotional responses, quick in your physical responses. Can be. But what are you? Akarta, bhokta. I don't do a thing. This is what Krishna highlighted in the second chapter by saying, I am not the killer nor the killed. He's fighting a battle, remember? Maharati is all around, handling all the whole thing going on. Huge. And believe me, a battle can be furious, okay? Yeah, modern or ancient. There's something called the fog of war. You don't understand what you don't understand what's happening. It's one big confusion and mess between the sound and the storm and the dust and the explosions and I don't know, how will I describe it to you? Have any of you seen that old movie called Gladiator? In that movie, it opens with this scene of battle where the person who becomes the gladiator later on says, stick with me and be with me, Because once the battle starts, there's one big confusion. We call it the fog of war. Because so many things are simultaneously happening. And when that is simultaneously happening, can you be that calm center? Thinking is furious. Emotional responses are fast. Certain emotions are kept away. You can't afford to grieve of a fallen friend. Your friend has fallen in front of you. You can't afford to grieve at that time. Keep that emotion apart. Push it away. Do what you have to do. All that is happening. Okay. All that is happening. But your patriotism is surging. The energy is surging. The killing energy is on you. You better be on you. Otherwise, how will you survive the war? Okay, it's war. It's not making love. Okay. The whole thing is happening. But in all that happening, the self, the Atma, the pure consciousness, doesn't do anything. Akarma. This is what akarma is really about. Therefore, karmani, akarmaya pashyed, who sees oneself as free from all karma. What are you doing? Fighting a battle. What are you doing? Nothing. Simultaneously both is happening. Simultaneously both is happening. And akarmani karmaya. Here is a guy sitting quiet, not doing anything. Okay. He is sitting outside the temple. Whatever devotees come and give him, he will eat. Bas. And you go and ask him, कुछ धंधा करो ना. क्या? Why are you sitting down? कुछ धंधा करो. स्वामी जी ये मेरा धंधा हो. Begging is my job. In the sense, even though he is doing nothing, to understand that he has karma. Why? He doesn't know himself as pure consciousness. He takes himself to be karta, the conceptual self. He takes himself to be the conceptual self. Therefore, that karma, the potential karta is there. Karma is there in a potential form. He is there. Therefore, even though, whole week I worked a lot, now I'm going to chill out, relax. And when he's chilling out, is there karma happening? Of course. Why? Chilling out is also karma. He takes himself as a one who has worked hard and now who deserves a weekend of chilling out. And his wife is thinking, why doesn't the guy, whole week I was also working from home, I was also taking care of home, why doesn't he give me some helping hand here now? I want to chill out. In today's world, understandable. That guy chilling out. Why? Have you known what going up and down is like nowadays? It takes 3 times the time that you normally took. That is why cases are rising. Why? You are spending hours in close contact with so many people. If the trains were running up and down, even though it is crowded, the exposure time is less. Now people are being exposed to crowds 4-5 hours. Naturally cases will go up. Whereas if exposure time is less, cases will come down. Simple thing. Government is stupid. Government is stupid. The advisors, I don't know whether they got proper advisors or what. It's so simple for anyone to understand that your chance of infection rises with your exposure time. It's so simple to understand that. Therefore, if you are unlocking, start train services, they will take care of the crowd. Otherwise, 4-5 hours and bus crowded. No, we advise them to maintain social distancing. Have you seen local buses running? Social distancing? Tell it to the birds. Anyway, that apart. Therefore, akarmani karmaya pashyet. The guy is chilling out doing nothing. But karma is there. Therefore, he presents it deliberately paradoxical. So you will get it. Doing karma, he is free from karma. Not doing karma doesn't mean you are free from karma. If you understand this, there is no stress in your life, okay? Why? You are doing nothing anyway. What are you doing? But you are thinking so fast and furious. Between one thought and another thought, there is an ocean of silence. Between one thought and another thought, however fast the thought is there is an ocean of silence. So what is the problem? An ocean of silence. Untouched by karma. Even though you have done a lot of karma, you are doing a lot of karma, untouched by that. Therefore, karmani akarmaya pashyet. Important to understand this. There is no other freedom from karma. You cannot, through karma, get freedom from karma. There is nothing like exhaustion of karma, etc. Not feasible. How are you going to exhaust your karma? There is so many lifetimes you have lived. Why? From beginningless time onwards, you have been coming as a jiva. So how many lifetimes you have had? Countless. Out of countless, let us say every 10th one was human life. Therefore, countless divided by 10 is what? Still countless. You had countless of human births. In that countless of human births, you have done each birth, you have done a lot of karma. Let us say 10% went on to your account for future lives. 10%. How much karma you have in your account by now? Huge. How are you going to exhaust all of that? By karma you cannot exhaust. You can exhaust your this lifetime karma. That you just have to live 70, 80 years automatically. When karma is over, you will go with fresh karma. Because this lifetime you earned fresh karma. So some of your earnings you have used up, investment. Some of what you have done has gone to back to your fixed deposits or your investments. Karmic investments you have gone to. So for the next lifetime, now you have, or it may be your 50th lifetime. Wherever, it's gone. Therefore, through a life of karma, there is no freedom from karma. Somebody said, I will live a very clean life. Do only my duties. So fresh karma is not gained. And I will not do anything. Punya also, Papa also I will not do. Live a clean life. Exhaust all your karma. So then I am free. Yeah, you are exhausted your karma for this lifetime. That will happen for anybody. You may not have earned, let us assume, you have not earned fresh karma in this lifetime. But what about the countless lifetimes of karma that is standing in your account? So rebirth is guaranteed. Where, how, why? Ask the Lord. Okay, I don't know. Supposing your fate is so good that in this lifetime all your punya is fructifying. You have a great life. What? You can laze in a swimming pool all day. Food and drink will be available to you. Nothing to worry about. Then you'll be born as a water buffalo. Okay? Laze in a pool all day. Food and drink available. Great punya you have done. You don't even have to think, see. Okay. But jokes apart, okay. The idea is by karma you can't exhaust karma. The only way you can gain freedom from karma is to recognize that I, the consciousness, is untouched by any karma. In terms of doing or in terms of receiving. Akarta, abhokta. Akarta, with respect to karma I am doing, I am not a karta. Abhokta, I am not a receiver of karma phalam. That means what? Don't complain, okay? No hurt, no pain, no guilt. Guilt comes from with respect to what you have done, hurt from what you have received. Okay, but this doesn't become something for husband and wife to use against each other, okay? Don't complain. There's no hurt for you, you know. You're pure consciousness. No. It doesn't work there, okay? Yeah. It can work there once you're rooted in this knowledge. Then it can work. Like it is very interesting when some of my batchmates we meet together. We are so blunt in our arguments. We throw it at each other's faces and we are happy with each other. अच्छा यार अच्छा बोला तू एकदम फटाफट दे दिया मेरे को अच्छा ठीक है, what? It's two intellects arguing. क्या है? I'm witnessing the whole thing. No problems. But until you can come to that level, be careful in relationships, etc., to use the argument, especially if husband and wife are both attending the class. Okay, it's a blessing for the couple to be able to come to a class as a couple is a great blessing. To get a partner who understands your own pursuits, etc., is a blessing. I'm telling you, one of the biggest blessings to have. All my students are not blessed with that. Some are. Some are taken time at their later age, they are blessed with that. Some are blessed with that very early. I can see that also. So it's a blessing. So in an argument, this will not work. When it comes to that level, automatically both of you are free anyway. Okay. From hurt and pain and guilt, etc., you are free. Automatically it'll happen. That time it doesn't have to be said. It's understood. Yeah. Therefore, karmaniya karmaya pashed akarmani cha karmasha. Sa buddhiman manishyeshu, he says, that person is buddhiman. Why? Not only he has shed the ignorance that has been with him for lifetimes. Lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. The self-ignorance was there. Now you have shed it. It is gone. Therefore, naturally you are a buddhiman. See, you have the buddhi with your own pramanas to go up to the moon and come back. Why? We are targeting Mars. Going up to Mars, we know. Coming back, we are not sure. So right now, Mars is a one-way trip. Okay, but another 10 years, who knows? It could be a two-way trip. You never know for sure. Why? In the 1980s, when children were asked to write essays in school, they were writing by 2020 there will be colonies on the moon and things like that. And in 2020, what are we doing? Washing hands. Making videos about how to wash hands properly. So you never know for sure. But possibilities, okay? Possibilities are there. Possibilities. Imagine going for an interview in 2021, job interview. Oh, there is 1 year missing in your resume. What did you do in 2020? That's it. हाथ धोया बैठ के हाथ धो के बैठा. What else? Better learn to laugh at it, okay? Otherwise you get too stressed out of 2020. 2020 is a write-off, that's all. Let it write off. It's okay. You have gained other things. A lot of things to have gained. 2-3 years down the line, people will talk about what they gained from 2020. Yeah. Anyway, that apart. Sa buddhiman manusheshu. Sa krishna karma krit. That is a person who has achieved all there is to be achieved in life. You started this Ananta Yatra a long time ago. Lifetimes ago. You journeyed for moksha. You evolved as a human being and wanted to gain freedom from your sense of limitations. In the process, you have gained a lot, you have lost a lot. All of us, lifetimes after lifetimes, gained a lot and lost a lot. Until this lifetime, when you gain that freedom from your sense of limitation, the consciousness that you really are, once you discover that, abhi kya baki hai? I am a fulfilled being. Successful, unsuccessful doesn't matter anymore. I have moved on from being successful to being fulfilled as a person. After that you will say, success, not success, etc. These are games you play here. Come on. You can become successful. You need not be successful. This all play of fate will happen. All the play of fate, these things will happen. Yeah, there was a question how to discover. You cannot discover your akarta without knowing yourself as pure consciousness. Therefore, to discover yourself as akarta is to discover yourself as pure consciousness. Otherwise, to remain calm in life, etc., karma yoga buddhi. Ishwararpanam prasada buddhi. Lifestyle, that's what it is. prasada buddhi, a sense of acceptance, and proactively dealing with things. That's what gives you a relative calmness. The final freedom comes from knowing, from self-knowledge, that you are this consciousness free from everything, untouched by anything. And you understand that, then you are free. You have done all that has to be done in life, he says. Krishna karma krit. All that has to be done, all that has to be achieved, has been done. I mean, look at how many lifetimes you have led. You have loved, you have lost, you have won, you have lost. Who knows? Many of us may have gained kingdoms. Many of us may have lost kingdoms. Some of you may have been business people. Some of you may have been in service. Some of you may have been warriors. Some of you may have been priests. A lot of things we have done in life. The lifetimes I remember, I have been a warrior in every one of them. What to do? You gain, and a lot of friends have been gained, buddies that you have been an honor to be with, lost them also. Big deal. Finally, you come to a life where you can know the truth for yourself at least. Even if you can't know enough to teach others, at least for yourself you know. Great. Now all gains and losses are no more meaningful. Why? You are that infinite being. You are that limitless consciousness. What is there to be gained or lost? Everything is in you only. Nothing to be gained, nothing to be lost. You are that fulfilled being. That is freedom from samsara. That's moksha. I am also keeping one eye on the time. Okay. So, are there any questions or clarification that you all need? Otherwise, this is a good place to stop. Unless there is a question, okay? Then shoot.
Pranam Swamiji.
Yeah.
Swamiji, even in the camp I had asked this.
Yeah.
How to develop the attitude of a karma yogi, especially in a very emotional situation. I mean, normally it comes easily, Ishvara Arpanam and Prasada Buddhi.
Yeah.
When everything is relatively calmer, it's easier to do that. But especially in high stress situations, especially emotionally unnerving situations,
Yeah.
that is when I use focus. And
True.
how
do you develop that? Yes. See, it takes some time. It does not happen automatically by itself. It takes some doing. In the sense, you gain it in so small things first. Then you can extend that thing to a little bigger things. There will be still certain things that will push you away from that. That's the game of life. It happens. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself and say, okay, I'm human. It only means I'm human. Therefore, it's okay. Okay? Especially if you're a young woman, it is more okay. Okay? Yeah. It's okay to be thrown off once in a way. Get it? We have been walking for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. Once in a way, we still stumble. No? That doesn't mean we don't know how to walk. That's one thing. Another thing is to understand Ishvara more and more. Understand Ishvara so well that he is a fact of my life. For now, when we think of Ishvara, we are devotees already. No. Ishvara is constant in your life. Because you have a fundamental relationship with Ishvara. Creator created. The recognition of that is basic devotion. Your husband has the same relationship with Ishvara. Creator created. Therefore, now devotee wife and devotee husband are relating to each other. Can you see? Ishvara is there, right there in your life. Devotee children, whether they recognize it or not doesn't matter. You recognize it. Therefore, that devotee is a fundamental relationship. It may not be expressing itself as puja every day or bhajans every day. My life it was not like that. My life was anything to be done. Okay, yeah, I'll do it. Rolled up my sleeves and ready to do. Okay, chalo. With my teacher, it was like that. What's to be done? It will be done. Whether I know it, I don't know it, I have the talent for it, not. That's all question of management. can find the people, no big deal. That's all, no big deal, can be done. That is the way I express my devotion. So it can express in a million different ways, that's okay. But this fundamental recognition that everything is Ishvara, everything is consciousness may take a little more time. Everything is Ishvara is a halfway thing, no? There. Everything is Ishvara. Therefore, everything is sacred, including your hurt, your anger, your pain. It's also sacred. Why? It's a possibility that is there because of Ishvara. No? That's why psychology is as a branch of study is possible. Why? Because there is a cause-effect relationship. Under these conditions, this type of thinking, this type of things happen, you will feel like this. With the possibility of change, because mind is like that. Therefore, everything is Ishvara's order. Therefore, the more you see that Ishvara's order, the easier it will be to be a karma yogi. Takes a little time and little cultivation. Once you do that, then you are ready for moksha. Moksha, here I come. Okay. So this is a good place to stop. I want you all to think about this. Karma, akarma, vikarma, etc. Karmani akarmaya pashet, akarmani karmaya. That point. Okay, the more you think about it, the more clear it will become. If there are any doubts, etc., next class we will clear it before building on it further. Okay, good place to stop. Om Tat Sat.